Hello, this is Matt Moser, a partner with Alchemy Solutions, and today I'd like to continue our coverage of the ability to call an API under NetCobol for Windows, in particular version 10, and we'll be using the sleepEx function. A prior tutorial covers the alpha-L word directive, which says how to make sure the case stays the same, because that's important in terms of knowing the entry point in your particular DLLs that you might want to call, whether that be a C program or a kernel 32 file, for example. So if you have not viewed that tutorial, I suggest you go back, view that tutorial first before viewing this one. That tutorial also explained that if you have DLOAD in combination, which stands for dynamic load, that there is a solution, and that's what this tutorial covers. If you wish to code your COBOL calls in line with a entry point that you wish to call. And the way that's done is to use what we refer to as an EntryFile, which simply points to, and I want to correct this, points to the entry point. In this particular case, sleepEx is the name of the entry point, which is a sleep function up underneath kernel 32.dll. The way we get to our entry file and the way it gets loaded up and the system knows where it's contained at is an entry in the environment setup file, and that's the @cbr entry file directive, just like this, with C:\alchemy, in my case, my directive, my folder where I keep my entry file.ent. And you can really name this pretty much what you want. .ent, and I just happen to call it EntryFile.ent. So my COBOL85.cbr, which you need to have, points to my entry file, and my entry file says where you can find that particular API. So not a whole lot to it. If we want to, we can take a look at what the compiler directives are that we're going to be using. In this case, alpha-L word and DLOAD. And again, the DLOAD stands for dynamic load, which says it's going to look for that program as a COBOL program first. So if you don't have the entry in there and you wish to code both together, without the entry file, it won't be able to find your DLL. If you're not using the DLOAD option, it will find the entry or the API that you wish to call. So you have a couple choices. It's a little bit flexible, a little bit of playing to get there, but not too hard. So let's cancel out of here. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the COBOL program. And this particular program call is going to call sleepEx. And again, the entry file is telling it where it's going to be because we're using the DLOAD compiler directive. And DLOAD will try to say this is a COBOL program and try to find sleepEx. But since we have an entry file pointing to where it can be found, it's then going to say, hey, do I have an entry file? And if I do, where's it kept? The next thing it does, it's going to call this getCDIR, and getCDIR is a program that I wrote that simply has in it a call to get current directory, and that only uses the alpha-L word directive. So that program was compiled standalone, and I'm calling it from this program, and it's simply going to return back my directory. All the source code is available up under mosersoft.com, that you can download this accompanying sample source on the partner page, the Alchemy partner page, with samples in it. And then last but not least, it's going to call this test DLL function. So I'm going to exit out of here, compile, so you know that we're running the right stuff. Take a look at our entry file, make sure that looks good. Yep, it says that's where it's going to be. And I want to call the program. It should be sleeping for 2 seconds, which it does. And it returns back the directory that I'm in. Nice long name. And I'm going to press enter, and it was successfully calling from test DLL. Successfully calling my test DLL. So let's press OK here, and let's break something. And in this case, I'm going to call it sleepExM. And the API is not sleepExM, it's sleepEx. I'm going to do the file save. And I'm going to go ahead and run. And just like it should, dynamic load's looking for sleepEx. It can't find it, then it's going to say, oh, look and see if I have an entry file for that. It can't find it, and so it fails. Okay, so like in all good programming, let's go ahead and fix this. File, save, and we'll go ahead and run again. Bring this down, and notice they work correctly. So again, if you wish to use dynamic load in combination with coding calls to APIs in line, you need the alpha L word directive, the DLOAD directive, and then you can also use the entry file in order to be able to call your API functions that you either create through C or that happen to be in kernel 32. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach me at mosersoft.com or through our great support center who can help answer questions on the same topic. Take care.